Big thank you to the EA Creator Network for allowing me to capture this early access work-in-progress footage. Madden 26 is finally here. EA added tons of new features that will completely change how we move the ball up and down the field, so in this video, I'm breaking down the 5 biggest changes to offense in Madden 26. So starting off at number 1, the new QB Special Moves feature lets you juke out defenders behind the line of scrimmage. In previous years, if you had a defender barreling down on you behind the line of scrimmage, there wasn't a whole lot that you could do to make that defender miss, but in Madden 26, we can juke that defender out and keep the play alive. And so all we're going to do to juke out defenders is while we're sprinting with our quarterback behind the line of scrimmage, we're going to flick the right stick in the direction that we want to juke. And just like out on the field, if you have a lot of speed, you'll get really fast juke animations. If you don't have a lot of speed, you'll get a slower, bigger juke animation. So we'll see probably both of those in these drills right here. If I go ahead and snap this ball and do a big rollout, and I was hoping one of the DNs would disengage right here, that's kind of the slower, bigger juke animation right there. You can see that we were able to juke the defender out and extend the play. And so look at the replay real quick. And when I say the slower, bigger juke animation, you see that because I had to kind of put on the brakes because I was running out of sideline, I didn't have a ton of forward momentum. And so when I do the juke animation, he's going to mostly come to a stop and jump straight sideways. But you see that in doing that, we're able to make him miss and then keep running. And of course, in a real game, we would have just we would have just ran along the sidelines, but I'm trying to show you guys the new feature, of course. And so if we go ahead and run this again, we will get several reps in. And so this time I'm going to, again, flick the right stick to the left. And you can see once again, we made those defenders miss. And it really is that simple. And I think this is a really easy drill. Just get into practice mode. Like everyone could do this. Just get into practice mode and just practice flicking that stick. And that's a really good example right there, where if you have a rollout that goes bad because that D end has a contain on you, he has outside leverage, you can use the juke move to cut inside. Like you can see right here, like we're not gonna be able to outrun him. Use the juke move, cut inside, and then step up in the pocket. And so these QB avoidance moves are really, really cool and are going to lead to some really spectacular plays that we see on TikTok and Instagram, where people make a bunch of defenders miss behind the line of scrimmage and then either run for a bunch of yards or throw a big touchdown. And so the one other important thing that you need to know is that because the right stick now allows us to juke behind the line of scrimmage, it has slightly changed the playmaker mechanic. And so playmaker, in case you don't know, allows you to direct the closest receiver in any direction that you want. Kind of like on the fly after the snap, you can kind of point him in a different direction. In order to playmaker now, you have to hold down the left trigger and then point your right stick in the direction that you want to playmaker the receiver. Last year, you would just simply point your right stick. Obviously now, because of the QB avoidance moves, that won't work anymore. So you have to hold the left trigger and then point him. And so I'm going to try and playmaker Mark Andrews right here. I'm going to hold the left trigger and then point it up, and you can see that he playmakered. Obviously, against man coverage, playmaker's not going to do anything, but you can see that that's how we playmaker now. And so if you want to playmaker a receiver, hold the left trigger and then point the right stick. If you just point the right stick, you'll be juking behind the line of scrimmage. But overall, I think QB avoidance moves and QB jukes behind the line of scrimmage are awesome, and they're going to make for some really cool highlight plays in Madden 26. Now at number 2, the new UnTarget Defender mechanic will help you shut down cheese blitzes. So right here, I have the defense in the formation nickel double mug, even though the offense is going to block their running back so that they have 6 players blocking to pick up the 6 blitzers on the defense. There is still going to be a blitzer who comes in free. And that's because I am mugging the gap here with my user and I have him manned up on the running back. When you do that, one of the 2 right side edge defenders are going to come in free. So if I go ahead and snap this ball, you can see that in this case, it is the defender off the far right edge, and he comes in for an easy sack on the quarterback. So in previous years, people would have different methods of picking up these blitzes. It may involve sliding, it may involve IDing the mic on a certain defender, but this year, with the new mechanic that EA just added, it is 1,000 times easier. And all you're gonna do is use the UnTarget Defender mechanic on the user who is mugging the gap. And so if I'm on offense here, the first thing I'm gonna do is block my running back, and then I'm gonna use UnTarget Defender. And so how do we do that? If you hold down LB or L1, it will pull up your pass protection menu. And if you look at the bottom of the menu, if you press Y for Xbox or triangle for PlayStation, it says UnTarget Defender. And so we're gonna go ahead and press that, and it's gonna bring up this icon, this little fire icon right here. And you can move it around with your left stick. You wanna place it on the user who is standing in between the 2 linebackers and mugging the gap. And then you're gonna select him with A on Xbox or X on PlayStation, And you can see that now nobody is assigned to block that player. And of course it is a small risk, because if the user decides to just sprint straight down, then there's a chance he comes in free. But 99% of players who are usering with that safety and standing in the gap between the two linebackers, they're not just going to sprint straight down. They're trying to stand in the gap and then user in coverage. And so when you untarget him and you tell your O-line not to worry about blocking him, then when you snap the ball, you can see that now the blitz gets picked up perfectly and you have time to make reads and try to find somebody open. And so this UnTarget Defender mechanic is going to be a complete game changer in terms of picking up blitzes, because so many blitzes rely on the user distracting an O-lineman that when you can just clearly see the user walk up into a gap, you can just hold down LB or L1 on Target Defender, and then just put the icon on him real quick and select him, and now you don't have to worry about it. This is an absolute game changer on the offensive side of the ball, and I think that it's going to completely change the types of blitzes that people have to come up with, because you can no longer simply rely on your user to mug a gap and distract an O-lineman and allow an edge defender to come in free. Now at number 3, new hot routes give us endless new route combos to build in Madden 26. EA added tons of new hot routes to the game this year, and they also removed the hot route master ability and instead let every quarterback in the game get all of these hot routes. So right here, I want to show you guys what I think are the 3 best new hot routes that every quarterback can make. And so the first hot route I want to look at is the wide receiver deep cross. And so if we go to the hot routes menu for a wide receiver, you can see that if they are in the slot, you can press up on the D-pad for deep cross. And I have the middle bunch receiver on that deep cross, and that is what it's going to look like. Crossers are extremely powerful. These are great for spacing against zone coverage if you have a streak on the opposite side to act as a pull route. And these crossers also do really well against man coverage. And so anytime you can put a deep cross on the field, which now is pretty much on every play ever, it is going to be extremely dangerous. I think they run extremely well. You see right here, he just crosses the field. And since we have that pull route on the other side, he's going to push that outside third deep. We just pass it down outside, and that is an easy completion along the opposite sideline. Now, the second hot route I want to talk about is the running back Texas route. And this is not new to the game if you played Ultimate Team or if you used a quarterback with the hot route master ability. But the fact that everybody in the game can get running back Texas routes now is a complete game changer. As I'm sure you guys know, running back Texas routes are arguably the best route in the entire game out of the backfield, because they beat man coverage, they get in an amazing spot against zone coverage, and so now anytime you're playing a game of Madden, any opponent, any quarterback, they can put a running back Texas route on the field. This is a huge boost to offense, and honestly, I think it's a really good change, because it was really weird, especially in regs last year, where only a couple quarterbacks or running backs could get Texas routes, and it made them really overpowered. And so the fact that everyone can get Texas routes now, I think really levels the playing field and opens up a lot more teams for people to use, where they're not trying to pick a team just because of Hot Route Master or being able to put certain routes on the field. It makes every team a lot more viable. And now the third new hot route I want to talk to you guys about is going to be the tight end wheel route. And so from the tight end hot route menu, it's going to be left on the D-pad for wheel. And these are the best wheel routes in the game, in my opinion. And it's because there are multiple windows in order to hit these routes. Because of how flat the route starts off, you're essentially getting a flat route and a wheel route in one. And so when you snap the ball, if the flat route is open, you can just hit them on the outside, and you can steal an easy 5, 6, or 7 yards on the outside. But if the flat is covered, like let's go ahead and put the defense in just a shaded down cover 2, and then maybe something like this to, occupy a deep half, what you're going to see is that, of course, he's initially not going to be open because there's a hard flat defender out there, but then there's going to be a late window when he wheels up the field, and he's getting bumped initially. But you can see it now, there's a late window for that wheel route as well. And so there's 2 different windows to hit these tight end wheel routes, and I think that these are probably going to be the most underrated hot route in the entire game. I think these tight end wheel routes are amazing, and I will definitely be using them a lot. And of course, there are tons of other new hot routes as well. You can put slot fades on the field. You can put anyone on a zig. You can put anyone on a return route. And so there are lots of different hot routes. But like I said, the 3 that I think are the best are going to be the wide receiver deep cross, the running back Texas route, and the tight end wheel route. Now moving on to number 4, the new reach for it stick move lets you stick the ball out and fight for every yard. In previous Maddens, one of the most frustrating things was when it felt like your player had zero awareness of where the first down line or goal line was. The good news is that in Madden 26, you can tell your player to stick the ball out and fight for those extra 1 or 2 yards that may get you a first down or a touchdown. And so to demonstrate this, let me go ahead and throw the ball to my slot receiver right here. And as I'm getting tackled, I'm going to point and hold the right stick straight up. And you may not have seen it from this angle, but if we go ahead and look at the replay, what is happening is as we're getting tackled, our player is going to extend the ball out. You see how he's sticking that ball out and he's getting an extra yard or 2? That is what the reach for it stick move is going to do. You're going to point and hold the right stick straight up as you're getting tackled, and your player will stick the ball out. And there's a lot of different animations that you can get. So like there's one where he kind of spun around and tried to stick the ball out. We can go through and run some more reps real quick, and you can see some of the different animations that we might get. I'd say this one is a very common one though, the one where he's kind of spinning and then he sticks the ball out as he's getting tackled. And so this is probably the most common one that I see. And it's kind of cool to see him actually fighting for those extra yards. Now, the one thing that is very important that you know about this stick move is that if you get contacted by a second defender during the tackle animation, which I know we're not really seeing right here because we're just doing some one-on-ones to make sure these animations trigger. But if you get hit by a second defender, you have a really high chance of fumbling the ball. And so you need to be very careful that you don't do this in a bunch of traffic. If you do this with a bunch of defenders around, that ball has a very high chance of coming out and being a fumble. And so I think that EA did a good job of balancing it. And like I said, I'm just kind of trying to show you guys the different stick move animations. And like I said, the spinning, falling, sticking the ball out animation is the one you're going to definitely see the most. But when it works, it really works. Like right here, we literally may have gotten that ball across the goal line before our butt hit the ground. And so there's lots of different animations. I will say that some people have experienced like accidentally, I don't know what number 5 is doing there. Some people have experienced accidentally using the reach for it stick when they're simply trying to truck. And so that's something you have to keep in mind. Here's a different animation right here where we're kind of squared up with the defender. And so after the initial tackle attempt, you can see that we kind of fall over him and still stick the ball out. And so there's a lot of different animations you can get for the reach for it stick move. And as long as it's a one-on-one, you can absolutely do it and steal extra yards. Just don't do it in traffic or else you'll fumble. But I think this is a really cool feature in the game. And especially on like a 3rd and short or a 4th and short or a 4th and goal, this is going to make for some really exciting plays where you just barely get the ball across the goal line. And finally, at number 5, new double motion plays will confuse the defense like never before. We've always had plays with pre-snap motion in Madden, but this year in Madden 26, we have plays with multiple players going in motion before the ball is snapped. So this is an example of one of those plays. This is the play SFT motion stack Poco in the formation gun Y off trio weak in the Los Angeles Rams playbook. What's going to happen first is that when we press the hike button, our tight end is going to motion across the formation and then get set. And then our right side outside receiver is going to go in pre-snap motion as well. And then the ball gets snapped and everyone will run their routes. And this play right here is an incredible man-beating play, especially the route from Puka Nacua on the right side. And so I'm going to go ahead and press the hike button. Our tight end goes in motion. So now in a 2x2 set, we get the second motion from our receiver. We snap the ball, and we can see just how much that route completely cooked man coverage. And there's like 2 or 3 great man-beating routes in this play. The post-corner route is really good as well. But these double motion plays are super cool because pre-snap motion is very powerful. And when you have a play like this, which is a 3x1, it's just kind of cool that you can just press the hike button, and all of a sudden it will go to a 2x2, and you can run your play out of this 2x2 set. And so I think it's just a really nice addition to the game to have some of these plays. Obviously, most of the plays in this formation, gun Y off trio weak, are still going to be run out of the normal 3x1 formation, but it's really cool to have a couple of these plays where there's this pre-snap motion from multiple players because it really does just give the defense a different look. And especially if you watch how the defenders react to the motion, it can clue you in pre-snap about whether the defense is in man or zone coverage. So we can just go ahead and run it one more time right here. The tight end motion's over. See that their motion gets matched. Once again, the motion on Puka Nacua gets matched. Now we have a pretty good idea that it's man coverage, and that is about as much separation as you could ever possibly have. And so it's nothing too crazy, but I do think that these double motion plays are really cool and a really awesome addition to Madden 26. So those are 5 things that will completely change offense in Madden 26. If you guys enjoyed the video, please do us a huge favor by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel so that we know you want to see more videos just like this one. But thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.